Good evening and welcome to Lethal Sales. We are so happy to see you all here tonight. Our topic is optimizing the customer experience. And are you ready? I'm going to start tonight.
Come on.
Okay.
Go
So
for it.
it is 9 a.m. and I'm walking into the dealership. I really don't want to be here. And I'll tell you what, I don't have a lot of time. I got to be back to work right after lunch. And frankly, no offense, but I'm not so sure you guys are going to give me a good deal on my trade in. And I know this is going to cost me a lot of money, and I'm sure I can't afford it. But the bottom line is, I need a car. Now, if I didn't say that out loud, if I said it in my head, that's who's walking into your dealership.
Exactly.
Well
Exactly.
done. Well done.
Every single person that walks into the dealership is coming for a reason. They're not coming there to look because they are terrified to be in a dealership. They think that they're going to get basically beaten and robbed and everything else under the sun, and they want out. So, no matter what we present to them, they want out. It's just horrific, and we have to change that. And defining what optimized customer experience is all about is changing the paradigm shift of automobile sales. So I'm going to leave it to my good friend and partner Larry to knock it out of the park, and then I'll back clean up at the end.
Sure. Well, you know, I never like people that knock their own field or where they come from or what they do. But I got to tell you, from what I see, and I'm everywhere these days, um, I just see dysfunction everywhere. I'm not complaining about it. It doesn't stop me from making a lot of money and having a lot of fun. But I see dysfunction, and I'm going to talk about something that just happened to me this week, which I think bleeds down into the ranks. I had a really good class of people. Rhonda was kind enough to post it. I had 11 people, and I think at least 9 of them had a tremendous potential for sales. And they grabbed 5, and the owner, who I called, he didn't call me. I said, "Listen, I got a hell of a class." He says, "Larry, whoever we don't take, we'll put it at the other store." I said, "That's a wonderful thing. I get paid, they get jobs, you get well trained people." So I gave him a day or two to stew and marinate. I was busier than heck, and I called him today. And how'd you make out with the other people? Yeah, I don't think anybody got in touch with you. Well, why the hell not? But this is what bleeds through. We look at customers like annoyances rather than annuities. Jeff and I talk a lot when we're not on the show, and I sold a lot of cars. I've sold enough to become a partner at a dealership. Um, and I had one trick. Everybody that ever got out of the car, I looked at them and I thought, I'm selling them a car. And the morons I worked with were already convinced they weren't buying. The car was too old, too new. The sun was in their eyes. So if your mentality isn't positive from the bottom up and the top down, if you don't look at everything as an opportunity, if you're not glad you're breathing and have an attitude of gratitude, really, what else can you expect? I'm assuming that everybody in the room, Darren said he worked in a tire shop, and I know Andrew's background is terrific with Tesla and all these places, but I'm a car salesman. And Andrew, I used to go to meetings on Saturday. They beat me till I was a one cell paramecium. They called me names that would make a sailor blush. And once everybody was destroyed, they said, "Great, let's go out and sell some cars." I don't think that mentality. I mean, Mr. Hill will always tell you that the same discussions we have, we could have had 40 and 50 years ago. If you're not positive from the top, you're done. I'm Andrew. I don't want to bore you, but and I'll get off my soapbox. I'm a historian, and I truly believe the primary reasons we have a country, even though it's disintegrating in front of our eyes, is Franklin, who charmed the French to come in, and Washington, who led from the front. And the only time he didn't lead from the front was when they were doing the evacuation in New York, and he was the absolute last man to leave when that fog rolled in. If you're not up front, if you're not positive, if you're not upbeat, what are you doing? And if you don't believe and you're not excited, how can the people possibly be there? Uh, Darren, I don't know how much sales training you've been, but I can remember going when they used to send me in the old days to see Joe Verdi and Grant Cardone. And we come back and I'd hear somebody say to the desk manager, yeah, we look, the hell with that bull. We're not doing that. So more things change, the more they stay the same. If you're not positive, if you're not upbeat, why show up? Andrew, I don't think I've said one logical thing in the whole, we're almost a year into the show. You know why people come? I'll tell a few jokes and I'll be positive. And that's without asking you for your money or your social security number. So if we're not positive from the minute they walk in the door, one last thing. I know I said I'd shut up earlier, but I'm a car salesman. We always lie. Andrew, if it's really simple, I'm assuming you're married, you have a girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever the hell it is, you go home to them, you had a rotten day, everything went wrong, and you say, what's wrong? And they say, what's wrong? And you say nothing. We all do it. Well, there's no neon sign over your head, Andrew's bad day. It's all over your face. Don't you think customers can see that we're not that happy to see him, or if they were breaking up our lunch scheme?
Hell yeah.
If we're not unrelentingly positive from the jump, if we're not excited, we're done. That's all. I'm off the soapbox.
So just before we move on, and I know that our good friend Tony is on a time crunch because he's in that fancy electric car of his, and so we know he's on his way to church. So let's get Tony's perspective on this and how that's the church.
Hey, one thing, Tone, before you go on. As we said, Andrew's limited from his NDA with Elon, but Elon just texted me. If you do run out of a charge, he's going to come over and straighten you right out. I don't think he has jumper cables, but he'll figure something the hell out. Go ahead, Tony.
I love my electric car, Larry. This thing is awesome. Of course, I only drive 700 miles a month, so it is awesome. I was out on the lot the other day, and I don't, for those of you who don't know me, I don't sell. I'm in marketing. I have sold. 30 plus years in the business. Gosh. But I was out on the lot the other day and I saw our new rookie salesperson, standing back, hands in his pocket, not saying anything to the customer. And I had pulled up two cars nose to nose, two Toyotas. I was doing a side-by-side video comparison and he was standing there like a statue. And it was so uncomfortable. I was kind of standing off to the side watching. I finally walked up and just said hi to the customer, and he stood there with his hands in the pockets the whole time. And I'm not judging him in as much as I'm judging our training and not just the techniques and the strategies and the word tracks, but the attitude is exactly what we're talking about. And he couldn't fake it until he make it if his life depended on it. A great kid, but he just had no idea. And by the time I got done talking to those customers, I had 8 doors open, 2 hoods, 2 trunks, and those things look like they could fly away. And it's just, we don't train our people how to have a positive attitude in terms of engaging the customers and asking them casual questions. It doesn't have to be formal. I see you're driving a Rogue. What do you like most about it? What would you change if you could change anything? What do you least like about it? Those things, and I just had those things. I had those 2 vehicles completely opened up. And before I walked away, I had this young salesperson, been there a week, over there finally talking to the customer, and I left him go. And then I look back 10 minutes later, and guess what? Customer's out the door. No TO, no manager intervention. And this poor kid who signed up, as you know, Larry, signed up for a job, and we want to help him move from the job to the career. And if we don't have a focus on how to do that, then shame on us.
Wait a minute. Don't say I know, because I didn't train his butt. If I would have trained him, he would have understood why he's there, what he's trying to accomplish. We'll talk right after the show, Tony. I do take American Express, Visa, check, cash. I'll even take that Route 66 T-shirt.
You don't take MasterCard?
It's just too bad, Larry. It is absolutely just too bad that we hire them, we give them hope, and we soon turn that into false hope. And then they leave us, and it's just too bad. I feel so bad for these young salespeople that get into the business, and they don't fail us, we fail them.
Yeah. Feel bad for everybody. Feel bad for the owners and the manufacturers, and feel bad for the customers. Because if you don't have enough time for people and you don't have a staff that can fulfill the potential, you're shooting yourself in the foot. Every dealer that we know and interact with spends a fortune to get people in. Why the hell would you want to get them in if you're not prepared to talk to them or engage with them or look them in the eye? Or you, Tony, you've heard me say it. I apologize for repeating myself. The question I love to ask in every damn class is, what do you say to the guy that says, I only have 10 minutes, I got to go watch my son play ball? You'd be amazed at how many people don't think the answer is, what's your son play? What's your daughter play? This is not complicated.
Yeah.
Here's an old Grant Cardone for you, Larry. 10 minutes is more than enough time to get you all the information you may need to make an informed decision.
That's right.
What's most important to you in your next car? Right? They all think 10 minutes is, I got to kick them out of here and tell them to come back later. It's more than enough time to get you all the information you need to make a decision.
Yeah, more often than not, it's a condition
disrespect
response.
to Grant, who's a billionaire. I still think if somebody talks about anything other than price, if it's their family, their circumstance, if they're wearing a hat that has a team on it, that's what you engage in first. That's just my
you gotta build that relationship. I mean, to your point, Larry, like some of the biggest success stories I've seen of people, especially that have never sold vehicles, has always been because they talk to people like people. And I think that is what separates everybody, right? And I want to go back to touch a point real quick about, the attitude, right? I think that, when we hire new consultants, when we hire new team members, and you guys are talking about failing them, what's really failing them is the culture in that building, right? Because it really comes down to culture. Because if you want to drink out of a fire hose and reduce turnover and hire all these people and like, oh, we got all these people to sell now and they're all going to leave, you're not doing yourself justice. And what ends up happening is, I've always believed in the inverted pyramid, right? Where the top person's always at the bottom and the first people that come of importance is the associates and the customers, right? Because then if they're happy the majority of the time, then they're going to be able to take care of everything else, right? It's going to create an experience for the customer versus a service. But man, I'll tell you, like if leadership is not in the right mindset, to your point, they might not even have to say anything, but you can just see it on their face. They don't want to be there that day. They see the people walking into the door. They feel like they're not going to accomplish anything. They're behind for the month and they're stressed out. All they do is pass that down, man. And it ultimately creates an environment where everybody's negative. And I feel like from the top down, you have to inspect what you expect. You can't have a culture and have a brand and not be able to inspect the expectations of that to be executed on a daily basis.
But it's got to be wrapped around positivity. Listen, for anybody that doesn't know, Andrew was just brought in as CEO of BEV Everything. And what you don't know is how I got involved. Okay. I met John Ellis at a SodaCon the year before, and we hit it off like you never saw two guys hit it off. So him and Dorian Cage called me up and said, we'd like you to be involved with BEV. And I said, there's only one small problem. I might be the biggest dope on earth when it comes to electric vehicles. And John Ellis, who is not Mr. Elect, I mean, let's face it, John is an analytical guy, not a crazy guy like me, said, I don't care what you know. He says, you're so engaging, you'll help us tie people together by being funny and being off the wall. So I went into it knowing I didn't know too much. Its attitude is everything. And I don't want to beat a dead horse. It's just, I'm the same as I believe everybody on this show, if you don't mind being compared to a lunatic. Okay. Everybody and out of the today is grumpy. It's just frightening how quick people jump to negativity. And everybody in this room, I believe, is smart enough to know that everybody's going through something. Everybody's got somebody that's sick, somebody that passed a divorce, something. It's so easy to turn somebody's day around with a smile and just be nice to people. And I don't want to sound like a preacher here, but what you get back when you give out that kind of vibe is absolutely incredible. It's incredible. Hey, only because he's new, and boy, is it good to see him. What do you think, my buddy? Darren, you're up. What do you think about what we're talking about how we have to alter the attitude from the top down and the bottom up? I mean, I'm sure you've purchased cars other than selling tires, and you've probably had some horrible experiences yourself.
Oh yeah, and even selling tires and selling service, I've seen people come from elsewhere with their habits built up and what they've learned elsewhere, trying to bring into our locations. And a lot of what I've learned over the years is how do we break these old habits that people have had You know, and if we're just talking about selling tires, it seems so simple, but yet people sign up to come be a salesperson or a service advisor at a tire shop or an automotive shop. And it blows my mind when I call in mystery shop places and I say, can I get a price on tires? And immediately they do the opposite of what you said. They go towards the side of making it sound like this is going to be the most negative experience and interaction I've ever had in my life. And I'd rather have my fingernails ripped out than talk to this person and have them quote me on tires right now. And when I hear that, I'm like, why did you pick this profession? Or why is the owner of this company or this facility not backing you with some type of skill set training to make you actually understand what is it I'm trying to accomplish when I'm selling someone tires? Am I just trying to sell them black round rubber that goes on their wheels and that's it? Or am I trying to capture this customer for life to continue to come back to my location for everything else they ever need on their vehicle? That's how we looked at it. And Larry, you really nailed it when you said someone comes on the lot and you told yourself, I'm selling them a car. I feel like you're echoing exactly what I teach in my
Wait a
first
minute, wait a minute,
presentation.
Darren. If you're going to agree with me, I can get you
I'm
in
sorry.
regular and bump Jeff Scherer because he's been a little negative himself lately. I never
If
hugs me
I
anymore. He doesn't send me any candy from Colorado. Listen, let me tell you part of the dilemma. It sounds like I'm bragging here. Forgive me. When I took over as the partner at the dealership, we were in the toilet, and I took us from the bottom to the top. And my reward, this is how goofy I am. They were going to send me to some kind of vacation thing, and instead, I figured I'd go to Kellogg University. It's what they offered because it's such a well-renowned school. And the professor, Darren, took a liking to me because, as you've already figured out, I'm a little mentally impaired, which makes for a fun day. So I became his class favorite because where everybody was trying to be disciplined, I was being myself. So he took me out to dinner and he says, Feldman, you want me to tell you what's wrong with your business? Said, please. He says, in the corporate world, if they want to hire you, they screen you for 6 months. They find out about your wife, your children, where you went to high school. Okay. And then if they hire you and they find out you're a deviant, you're fired the next minute. In the car business, if your tailor tells you a joke or the waiter's nice to you, they hire you on the spot, and then they find out you're a child molester. It still takes them 2 years to fire you. Well, he moved a lot of units last month. So when you hire quickly without consideration and there's no thought, listen, I love what I'm doing. Rhonda's seen me. A lot of you have seen me in action. I train for 3 hours. No, Andrew, nobody looks away. It's how nuts I am. Talk about everything in the world except. I love what I'm doing. But if you think about it, I should be out of business. And so should Darren. You shouldn't need a trainer. If it's your money, if you own the place or you're a GM getting paid on gross, wouldn't you want to sit with your guys every day and encourage them and push them and maybe leave one guy in the room and say, hey, Joe, I know you're a little down this month. You're way too talented for that. Anything I can do to help? Why the hell? I mean, listen, keep sending me checks. And you said something earlier about turnover, Andrew. We're all for turnover on this show. I'm a recruiter. Okay. I encourage as many people to quit as possible. That's Feldman, Feldman. Look me up or just send a check. I'm sorry. I got a little bit off track. There we go with the ADHD, Darren. Anybody talk other than me because I'm off the rails tonight.
I want to jump back to Tony's comment for a second, if I could, and then I'll let Darren reply to that. But, you know, that guy, Tony, was waiting for the customer to make the first move. You know what we call that? A clerk. Right?
Yeah, order taking.
Customer, take it up to the counter. This is what I want to buy.
That's but we turned him into a clerk. We turned him into a clerk.
That's the issue.
That's the sad part.
It is the sad part, Tony. I agree 100% with you because we hire out of fear in the business. We have this innate fear that if we don't have enough people on the floor, we will not maximize the opportunity of sales.
No. The reason we want people on the floor is because the managers don't want to talk to customers.
I like
they're
that.
building a wall around them
they hide
can
behind
defend
the desk.
them.
They hide behind the desk.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And with that, because we have that mindset, that gives us that challenge that we don't have enough time or efforts to go out and train the people properly. And then once we've trained them,
hold on. Rhonda is either a hostage or she's got a message for us. What is it,
I have
Rhonda?
a question. I want Peter to finish, and then I'd like to ask.
Okay.
Go ahead, Peter, finish, and then Rhonda has a question or a
And
comment.
then where we miss out is on the coaching. We don't coach our teams.
Right.
And if we coached our teams, we would have a completely different experience, both internally, which is dealership experience, right, Doug? And then the second part would be the customer experience, because if we treat our people properly, they'll treat our customers properly. And that's
wait, just before you jump to Rhonda, Jim Bouton. This is the first guy that ever wrote an expose book on baseball. It's called Ball Four. It revolutionized bad sports writing because everything was attack mode. But he has a title that's perfect for what we're talking about. He wrote a book about managers. It's called I Managed Good, but boy, did they play bad. If your attitude is it's everybody else's fault and you never look in the mirror, what the hell are you going to get? I'm sorry, Peter, you just jogged my brain.
Nope, go right ahead. Go right ahead.
Rhonda, what was your question?
Well, the question actually, Peter kind of started to talk about it. I don't understand why. I mean, Larry goes in there and does the training and he tells them, because you're not on the floor with them after they get hired. Why don't they send the best salesperson to the newest salesperson, have them shadow, watch
Totally.
them, right?
Well,
pay them both for this, okay? Pay the entry level, pay the mentor something. But why, if this guy's really successful?
I wanted to. Can I answer this question real quick? Do you mind if I answer? A lot of your top performers do it naturally. A lot of top performers they don't have a teacher's heart. Not in a bad way. They just are not teachers. And if you watch your top performers, they're just naturals. They couldn't tell you what they do. They just do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm not saying, I'm saying watch. Put the young guy next to the guy who's even a natural or just been doing it for 20 years or whatever. Let them watch.
Let me expound on that, if I could, with the question, Rhonda. And I'll throw it to Darren and Larry. But I think there's a difference between training and coaching.
Massive difference.
So, Larry and Darren, why don't you put your
Darren, you're the guest. Why don't you go first, my buddy?
I don't know how to answer the question. To me, I know they're different, and somehow I do them differently, and I attack them from different avenues. But it's maybe one of those things I couldn't actually map out. Training, I guess the way I would look at it is training is, we can have scripts, we can have approaches, and we can provide that to people. But coaching is where you're actually empowering them and motivating them and making them feel like, did I just figure it out? Did I just figure it out?
Hey, you got it.
Yeah, look at that.
Let me help. A trainer's in front of you, a coach is next to you.
Right.
Yeah, there you go.
How about that?
Yeah.
Well, and training is what we do for dogs. Okay, we train dogs. We develop people.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that too. I like what Larry said too, the positivity thing. And I've always said, like, and I'm in automotive shops and dealing with automotive shops, but man, that positivity, if you have that shop morale and that your company culture and you have positivity going all day, man, there is nothing that gets you through that 4 o'clock to 5:30 to 6 o'clock hour and get all the cars done and get everything running smoothly, like having positivity going. If everybody's butting heads all day long, the actions and the mechanics of what you're going to do to complete these cars and complete these sales is the same. But the positivity is what drives that extra 10 to 15% to make massive gains in gross profit, net profit, and efficiency of your crew. And it's amazing when you're positive and that customer rolls in at the last 15 minutes on the last day of the week on a Saturday. It's amazing if we're all positive how 4 people can pitch in and we'll finish a set of 4 tires in 8-9 minutes. But if it's 10 o'clock on a Tuesday morning and we're all barely had our coffee, it takes us an hour and a half to do a set of 4 tires. It's amazing how that stuff works, isn't it? So try to keep that Saturday afternoon positivity going all the time. People can hear it, they can see it, they can sense it over the phone. You got to have positivity all the time. It's that power of positivity thing.
Hey, Ron,
I'm sorry, Andrew. Go ahead, then I'll jump.
I would just say thanks, Larry. I mean, just to answer that question and to bring up a point that Larry said in the very beginning, that there's a lot of dysfunction out there, right? And there's a lack of organization as well is the other issue, right? So, but the biggest issue to tie those two together, there's a lack of process, right? So if you have an onboarding process,
wait. What was that word? That P word?
Process? I know everybody hates that word.
Don't bringing that up at dealerships. You'll confuse everybody.
You know what I'm saying? But listen, I'll tell you, if you're gonna hire somebody and wing it every time you hire them, it's like, oh, who's here today? Yeah, go with him and learn how to sell a car. Dude, so, you're never gonna.
When you're done your thought, our buddy Jason Reed has his hand up. Jason, please, we'd love to hear from you.
The only thing I would add to that is as far as training. Training to me is showing somebody how to drive. You give them the keys to the car, you show them the road, you give them the avenue to drive down. The coaching comes in when you show them how to handle the curves. And what I mean by that is every situation that's going to come into a dealership in front of a salesperson or woman is going to be different. That coaching, they may be able to get so far down the path, but they may come into a roadblock. The coaching is educating them and showing them how to handle that curve correctly and to adapt themselves in the future, not only for just that one time, but educating them for that time and beyond on how to change the way the car handles around that curve for each particular curve that they come across, like a client. A client's going to come in with different situations, different needs, different wants, different objections. It's your job as a manager, or my job as a manager, to show them how to navigate those in a way in which formulates into a sale, essentially.
Jason, can I build on what you said? Because I agree with you, but I just think you need, if you don't mind, I think we need to complete that thought. Showing them how to navigate is urgent, but what I think you really have to do is show them what will happen if they get to the final destination. That if you can explain to people, if you do this, this is what will happen, and here's the great news, you're capable of doing it. Listen, I'm not lying, guys. I go 3 hours, nobody looks at their iPhone, and people don't want to go to the bathroom. Part of it is I'm crazy and I got a lot of energy, but I relate to them and I tell them, listen, this is not a moral lecture. You're not in church. I'm just telling you that if you're going to be somewhere for 8 hours, 6 hours, 10, isn't it more fun to look at your iPhone, your computer, or your watch and go, wow, I can't believe it's time to go home. The day flew by, rather than be bored. Being bored is a choice. Look how many things we can learn. Other than states like Ohio and Virginia, you can write referral checks. Why would anybody not be busy when they can write somebody a check for $100? Everybody on earth wants that 100. Okay? Elon Musk is a billionaire. He still drove across town when he still had a gas car to save 3 cents on a gallon of gas. Okay? So if we can explain, listen, Andrew, Darren, Russell, if you do this, this, and this, you're going to get that, and that. Russell bubbling under to say, if you keep doing what you did before, you'll never get what you want. You have to change your behavior. So my motivation is simple, is to let them all know this is what you're capable of. I love to quote, shows my age, Dr. Norman Vincent Peale, who said, most of us would rather be ruined by praise than saved by criticism. We need to hold people accountable. We need to put our arms around somebody and say, you're capable of more than this. You deserve to make this money. That's all. To me, that's what motivation is. Showing them the path, showing them the result, and as Jason said so ably, showing them how to navigate the curves. But if you're not doing that all with a smile on your face, just go home, because they come in expecting us to be creepy, and that's the greatest opportunity on earth, because nothing is stronger than when a negative is overcome by a positive.
And who's coming into the store with a smile on their face as a customer? Not many. Unless they know I want a car.
Hold on. My man hit something good. You know who's coming back? And you know how to get your percentages and get rich like I did? No bragging, selling cars. Repeat referral customers. Okay? How about if we take care of the damn people that are already working with us? The next salesman that I see, because sometimes they bring me in to train the veterans. Since there's no business, I want to punch them in the mouth. When was the last time you were at service? When was the last time you went to church, synagogue, a mosque? When was the last time you said something to somebody? Here's what I do.
Last time you did something on social media.
I started my career at Toyota. Granted, they're Toyotas, and Tony would back me up if he was still here that it's not the hardest brand to sell. But after 3 years, and I was brand new in the industry, I was only there for 3 years as a dealer. At that point, I no longer took a walk-in or I was simply working on referrals because I took care of people, treated them like people. I had fun with my customers.
But
I mean,
Scott,
if you go on a test drive, I'd be like, turning here, they're like, oh, Peter knows Tim Hortons, you guys might too. And his coffee change back home. I might pull him here, like Tim Hortons, like, yeah, I'm hungry. Hey, you guys want lunch? Like that would be part of my test drive. I was hungry, so and then we just sat down and had a conversation. It was no longer even about the car. I going to Larry's point. I learned about their kids. I learned about what makes them them, and then managed to cater the experience in the vehicle towards what information they told me. It is a people business. It's as simple as that.
We had listen, so you understand how simplistic this is. For anybody that doesn't know, this guy Scott Trainor's what we call a gentleman, but he's 1/10 as nice as his wife. His wife Adriana is the nicest person you ever met, and we had a show revolving around women. I said, "Could we get Adriana on?" He says, "Larry, I love her, but she's shy." I says, "Get her butt on the show." How about he called me later and said she was thrilled to be on the show. When you throw opportunities out, when you give people a chance to like you and maybe get a chance to know and like them, it's fun. I mean, these people, we kiss the wrong butts. We kiss our manager's butt and our GM's butt. They don't pay you. Your customer pays you. If you're not nice to them, where is your logical progression?
Can Mike Larkin talk before being the last one? Just saying.
Yeah, go ahead, Michael.
Mike, I got him before you did.
Kudos to you, Jeff. Your check is in mail. I wrote some notes on this because of the nature of the title of the room. The attitude, that's it. One of my early mentors explained to me, inside rapport, anything is possible. Outside of rapport, virtually nothing is possible. And I go through some old adages when I got into digital marketing is the money is in the list. Well, build your list by being positive. Content is king. Well, take from, the good content and leave the bad content aside. I mean, nobody wants to hear a negative Nancy. I don't. 10 years 10 years ago, we used to have a term that was floated around society called reputation management. And at the same time, I was saying reputation marketing. You don't make any money marketing anything. You make money or managing anything. You make money marketing. And to market your good attitude to the people that are right in front of you is just a good idea. And I'll finally say, there's organizations out there. What kind of organization are you? And I'm a sports fan. So, your team is moving as fast as your business. And if you don't support your team, you don't have a team. You have a blah called an organization. So I'm Mike and I'm dropping my mic.
Mr. Hill or Doug, or we have a new guest. Thank you so kindly for joining us. Anybody have any thoughts?
Man, there's none. I got so many. I don't even know where to start or end. So I'm just going to listen for a moment.
Is that Martha?
Okay.
It sure is.
Hi, Martha.
Martha.
Hey, Martha.
We're so glad to see you.
Hello, how are you? I always take my lunchtime on Wednesdays to come and join you guys. So I always come to my car. Nobody can interrupt me over here. Miss you guys. Haven't seen you in a while.
How are you? Is everything well?
Everything is well. It's just a little bit, hectic at work. Some of you guys know we changed phone systems and then DMS and
I think you said you went full CDK, right?
Yeah.
We went full CDK, yes. We went full CDK, and we're going with the Smart Path next week, which is our digital retail tool. So we're going to see how that goes. So still working a lot of things, making sure the CDK feeds, to our website. So the inventory is still, a lot of glitches, we can say, that we're working through. So it's work in progress, but it's a lot of work.
If you need any help with those, Martha, we love you. If you need any help with those glitches, call me. I think I almost have my garage door opener fixed.
Yeah.
So once I can get in and out of my house, I'd be glad to come over and help you.
I told
You'll be able to
Martha,
help us.
I told Martha on the after she finished talking about some of this in a little bit more detail on the human side of AI, just listening to her, I started to cringe and develop anxiety because of a DMS change in itself. It is just a freaking nightmare, man.
Yeah.
Well, that's because it's the inhuman side of AI. For you newbies on the show, you won't meet a nicer person than Martha and a more hands-on person. Martha never rolled her eyes in her whole life. Whatever it is, she helps, she jumps in. But when you complicate it with companies that maybe are not as helpful as they could be, if I can say that diplomatically, or systems that it's almost like they tend to overcomplicate them, it can even make a beautiful person like her lose her mind. By the way, anybody that's not on, it's 11 o'clock a.m. every Wednesday. Andrew, you'd love it. It's the human side of AI. And we talk about it. Any development, any problem we're running into, you'd be terrific on that show. And I know you'd have a ton of insights.
Martha, I was on the call earlier today when you were talking about this. And I thought,
Jeff, yeah.
I thought about my friend Darren, who's new to the room here.
Hi, Darren.
Hi, Martha. Nice to meet you.
And you know, the average, Darren's in the tire and auto repair circle. He's training and stuff. But the average auto repair and tire store, and Darren can clarify this, has to use a minimum or an average of about 20 different platforms to do their daily work. And none of them even have each other's phone number. So there's no chance of them integrating. And
well, you can try, but it's bug after bug after bug, day after day, week after week. It never goes away.
Hey, we got Doug Reeves on, and Doug always has something interesting to say. Doug, what are your thoughts here, my buddy?
Some random thoughts on coaching versus training. Training, I think, is for the masses. Coaching is for the individual, and that's the way you rise your people. You know, I was thinking about Rhonda's first statement about she goes into the dealership, blah, 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 blah. You know, I've always felt that people buy from people they like. And I think the first thing a salesperson needs to do, and when we train stores, it's not done enough, is talk about what they can expect at the dealership, assuming that the culture is one of, hey, we actually do it the right way. Tell them what they can expect and disarm them and say, we're not like everybody else. Here's how things are going to go today. Then the next thing that we never hear is done consistently is just taking the time to know the customer. They don't spend enough time on a discovery session asking questions about not only their vehicle and their use, but their lifestyle, what they're about, getting to know them. They don't do that. And if we would take the time to quit selling and just get to know the customer and become their friend, they'll like us and everything will move smoother from that. But it's just not done enough. And finally, you know, and Peter knows this, and I'm going to reiterate what he said. It's about the dealership experience. It's not about the customer experience. They got to get rid of that term. You've got to make sure your employees are happy, that you're providing them all the tools and all the support for them to rise to the levels that they never thought they could get to. And then that will trickle down to the customer. But if you don't take care of the employees first, your dealership experience, and this is probably going into the bitch car, the car bucket or whatever, it'll suck. And it'll trickle down to the customer. So you've got to start with the employees. So that's just throwing out a bunch of stuff.
Doug, what's wrong? I say it in every class. What's wrong with if somebody says, "Yeah, I want your best price"? Of course you do. You probably work your butt off. Can I ask you what you're going to use it for, business or pleasure? Everybody loves to talk about their job. If they like their job, they like to talk about it. You know what they really love is if they hate their job. They love to tell you what a jerk their boss is and how the place would fall apart if they weren't there. But anything you engage in that's a conversation and
talking
it's
out
fun,
of experience, Larry.
That's where I want to buy my car. I want to buy my car from a place that hates their boss.
My problem is I work for an egomaniacal lunatic, and which is really scary because I'm self-employed.
Listen, you know, we used to tell people when I used to train finance managers back in the day, we used to say, Your goal with this customer is to learn something about the customer that nobody else in the dealership knows about. Because the only way you can do that is to become their friend and ask questions. And I think that's a great thing for sales managers to say, all right, today I need to know X about the customer. Something that it's not even related to the sale, but it makes you it forces you to get to know the customer on a personal level.
Doug, you're 75% home. Can I throw in the other 25%? How about if we emphasize
anyway.
How about if we emphasize listening even more than talking? We're the world's worst listeners.
Yeah, let's don't do that.
Yeah.
What's that?
Let's don't listen. You know, if they like you, they trust you, they believe you, they're going to tell you exactly what it takes to buy to buy.
Jesse Cole, I'm sure many of you have heard that Jesse Cole's the owner of the Savannah Bananas baseball team. And his philosophy is create raving fans. So really find out what's different, make a different experience. And actually, it's funny that Peter put in the chat sticker that I used to have for my customers. The first line is French, he's on selling cars in Quebec. But the other one is Take the Road with Scott Trainor. I had my logo. The customers would act, and Peter, did I send that to you or did you find that on my Facebook? Okay.
No, you sent it to me.
Yeah, my customers used to actually be excited when they came back for their next vehicle and say, hey, are you going to put your sticker on my car again? They would request it because I created those raving fans. So it's...
By the same token, though, that same raving fans, your employees have to be raving fans of the dealership. If you don't have that, you got a problem.
And raving fans of their customers. Like I said, if people get goldfished, they walk into a dealership, it's like they're a goldfish and three people looking them through the glass. You want to wait on them now? Let's send the rookie out. They don't look like a buyer.
I gotta hit some of Mike's points. Doug's points have been great, and even Scott's, feedback there, guys. I need to tell you that it's not really that hard to make that happen, especially for the associates. And what it comes down to is separating a manager from a leader. That's really what it comes down to. If you got a leader that's going to get to know you and show you how to get to know somebody, you're going to go ahead and do that and get to know your customers. It really trickles down from the behaviors you have in the interactions every day. So once we can separate managers from leaders, because look, there's a place and a time for managers to be involved in the business, but you really need leaders out there to show people shoulder to shoulder how to get things done. Yep. And if you want people to have a relationship with a customer, you got to build a relationship with your people. And I'm not talking about like going to the bar and drinking a beer, but getting to know them, like, hey, you got kids. Oh, are they into soccer? Oh, awesome. They had a test. What was their score? Oh man, congratulations. And just be a person.
And the leaders,
you'll be able to reciprocate that.
The leaders in the horse stall with a shovel with you. The manager's saying, go pick up that shit.
Yeah. Managers light a fire underneath people. Leaders light a fire inside people.
The leader's the one after the snowstorm that they're clearing all 200 cars from the lot with us, and he brought his boots and his gloves, and he's not just getting the lot guys and the salespeople to do it. He's out there for the full time and letting the salespeople rotate. He's in and out, but he stayed out the whole time showing us and helping us getting it done.
So listen, just a hair over 90% of salespeople in the United States have never read a book on sales. That's a catalyst for everything that we're talking about, because they're not willing to, my mentor told me years ago, Russell, are you willing to do the things that other people aren't willing to do so you can have and become the things that most people will never have and never become? What are you willing to do? I'm certainly, the people in here listen to each other. We get it. We see what the challenges are. But I'm telling you, in 30 years from now, we're going to be talking about the same. Only 5% of the people get it. Any industry doesn't make it different. They're willing to do those things. They're willing to associate. They're willing to think about their attitude. They're willing to read and associate with people that here's it again, not 95% of the population get their information from the same 95% of the population that has what they have or less than what they have, and they wonder why the hell they don't have anymore. They just don't get it. I was that way at one point in time. I didn't get it. And then I turned on. What's going to make a difference tomorrow? what I read, what I listen to, and who I associate with. New input equals new output. If not, 30 days from now, I can tell you what the last 30 days did. I can tell you what the end of the month's going to look like for him or her. I know, I already know. Human behavior.
Surround yourself around successful people. You're going to be successful. And
That's
Russell,
right.
I'm going to tell you, man, we need to get the stats on how many managers have never read a book about leadership.
Oh my God, I am fired up, pumped up. We're just now getting started.
We need that one.
Right?
Wait a minute, Andrew. We need to figure out how many managers can read, because some of the dopes I've talked to, I have to be. Hey, listen, only if he wants to talk. Sometimes he's just listening. We've got my good and great friend Michael Barich on the show. Michael, if we got about 10 minutes left, if you have any desire to add to this, great. If not, obviously it's a pleasure just to have you involved on the periphery. But please feel free to speak up if you have any thoughts.
Well, thank you, Larry, for having me, and I hope everybody's having a great day. I'm in the middle of a workout, so I'm going to make it quick. I think where the majority of these issues we're discussing today come from is the leadership. So it's easy for those leaders that you're talking about, Larry, to be grumpy. And, you know, you mentioned, called you names that would make a sailor blush. But the reality is that leader isn't doing the day-to-day activities and tasks that he's supposed to be doing to set the tone and the example for the rest of the freaking team. And that's the bottom line. So I think as we're talking about leadership and reading books, there's a lot of people that need to read that are totally illiterate.
That's right.
And somebody's going to have to take a stand and make a difference. You're talking about dealers spending tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars because of turnover, and then hiring guys like you that can train them to give their team a leg up walking in the door, and then the dealer doesn't do anything with it. Like, that's a definition
wait a minute.
of
So
insanity.
you're saying that if they behave better and were more thoughtful, they'd reduce turnover. Rhonda, let's not put this show on replay. We don't want any dealers listening. They might get an idea. Cut my income down.
That's right. Someone needs to give those boys a reality check.
Well, the problem is because they don't know how to read. They never looked in the dictionary and see that the definition of a manager is someone who manages, someone who makes pieces of the puzzle fit and makes the wheels turn. You're supposed to facilitate things working. Listen, I love problems. Nature abhors a vacuum, and so does Larry Feldman. I used to love it when somebody would tell me about their credit, their money. I'd say, man, you think I'm going to let that stop you from getting something you deserve? You seem so nice. Let's work together. Who the hell's going to get mad at you for that? But you walk into most dealerships, the first question is, how's your credit? If you're a woman, they look at you like you're at a strip club, or they ask you if you're coming back with your boyfriend or your husband. We do every stupid thing and wonder why we're not getting results. It's crazy.
So let me jump.
Well, Larry, the other part of that is they never get to T in dictionary. They stop at K because they're dicks.
Rhonda, you listen, you better ask Barich for the money. I'm not screwing around. He's muscle bound and he's in the gym right now.
You did not explain the rules to Michael. As a matter of fact, I think at 5:30 this morning he was working out too, and here he is still working out.
The pre-workout does not play. Pre-workout.
He's doing 75 hard, I think.
No, wait a minute. Hold it.
He works at a gym, right?
Let's give everybody their due. Okay. My buddy Mike Larkin jogged today. Unfortunately, he jogged to Baskin Robbins, so that might have negated the effort. I'm sorry, Mike. I kind of had.
Hey, strawberries is my flavor, man.
So I'm just going to jump in for a second here, everyone. We talked about leadership. We talked about managers. We talked about reading, and I'm going to give a quick little story about how I got involved with most of you. My wife was in a small accident, and that accident led me to a dealership to buy a new car, and it was awful. It was ridiculous. I'd been in the business for 40 years at that point, retired out of it, and it was just an absolutely horrific nightmare. I started a company because Automotive News and Canadian Dealer Magazine picked up my story on what happened and basically told everyone that I was coming back to the business, and watch out, because I was going to change it. I went down to NADA last year, and one of the things that was a reason for me to go was it was in Dallas, and in Dallas there's a dealership group called the Sewell Group, and it's owned by Carl Sewell. And Carl Sewell wrote the very first automotive book I ever read, Customers for Life. And that's what this whole call is about, is optimizing customer service. And he absolutely is the king at doing it. So I went into the dealership. The gentleman walked up to me and said, welcome to Sewell Cadillac. My name is Tony. It would be my pleasure to direct you to the department you seek today. Didn't ask me what I came in here for. Just said, hey, I want to help you. I'm here to serve you. I said, I'm from Canada. I just wanted to come here because I read Carl's book 30 plus years ago, and it was one of the most influential books I've ever read in the car business. That's fantastic. Can I get you a beverage? Can I introduce you to anybody? Can I take you a tour of the facilities? No, I'm just going to walk around, just take a few pictures, say I was here, and it's going to be an awesome opportunity for me. About 15 minutes later, I get this booming voice behind me. Mr. Smith? I went, yeah. And he goes, my name is George. I'm the sales manager here. I'd like you to accompany me to my office. I went, oh, shit, I'm in trouble. I'm going to the principal's office, and he's going to kick me out of the dealership for bothering his staff. So he walks me into his office, and he says, you know, I've been here for 17 years. It'd be my pleasure to answer any questions you have about Sewell Cadillac. You can ask me about profitability. You can ask me about turns. You can ask me about turnover, staff, how we hire, who we fire, what happens, and how we go through things. I'm here to serve you. You have 45 minutes. Ask me as many questions as you want. So I asked probably 100 questions as fast as I possibly could to get as much information as I could gather from him. At the end of the 45 minutes, he said, I apologize, Mr. Smith, but I have an appointment. It's been a pleasure talking to you. I have one question for you. I said, what's that? He goes, do you still have Carl's book? And I said, no, I paid it forward and I gave it to someone to read. He said, he opened up his desk drawer, pulled out his copy, and he said, there's my copy. I've had it for 17 years. I'd love for you to have my copy. Whoa. And it's
wow.
It's full of dog's ears, highlighting, and the ink, but I'd love you to have it right from us. And I went, how does that not exemplify optimizing customer service? And that in itself is why Carl Sewell keyed the term customers for life. Every customer is worth 30 additional deals. If you maximize their opportunity and maximize their ability of looking after them, you will increase your opportunity of income. Back in 1982, when I got the book, he had salespeople making $300,000, $400,000 a year that had secretaries working for them, booking clients in and booking clients out. It is that imperative that we look at how we redefine our business on the customer service side of things. And that's my 5-minute venting of how we can do better in our business. So take it away, Larry.
Well, listen, hard to follow Carl Sewell. I mean, the guy is here. There's a guy that walks the walk and talks the talk and doesn't just throw out a lot of platitudes. You look at guys like him and Dale Carnegie and how simplistic these lessons are. Take care of your people, take care of your staff, and they'll take care of your customers.
Exactly. And that is the foundation. And he also has a foundation that he doesn't hire people from the car business. Unless it's a technician or something like that. Anybody.
Wait a minute, Peter, that's not right. You should hire people from the car business. We need to give these ex-convicts a second chance in life.
A little bit of redemption.
Yeah, you gotta have a college degree. to even
Yeah.
go to one.
You know, I wanted to add something to what Peter was saying about the book. I'm gonna go get that book actually now. But when you were talking that we need to read, right? And in our business, we need to read about sales, and we also need to read about leadership. But I think most importantly, we need to read about relationships. If we're not able to develop relationships, you know, and if we're not able to pass that on to the people that we're trying to lead, it's going to be very hard for us to retain and, you know, and develop the loyalty and the retention that we're looking and seeking in our customers, because we're not looking for the customer, we're looking for the client, we're looking for the customer for life. It's only going to be for life if you develop that connection. You know, if you're not able to hold that relationship, and I always tell my teams when I'm coaching them, you know, I want you to see the relationship that you have with your husband, your wife, your brothers, your mothers. I mean, like, how do you talk to them? How do you comprehend what they're trying to say to you? How do you respond back to them, and how they absorb or feel your response to your needs? Because it's the same thing when you have a customer in front of you, and it's the same thing when you have one of your team members or your employees in front of you, right? So the relationship is very important. And I think that's what the book is about, you know, clients for life.
Hey, Martha, if you send me your address, I will send you a copy of my book. You'll get a kick out. I got Michael Barich reading it now. It's called Inner Moron Demons, How to Avoid Them, How to Live Your Best Life.
I'll send it over to you. I'm gonna be sharing that with the team.
By the way, your girl April Simmons loved the book. I sent it to her too.
Okay, I'll send you my address.
Well,
see, I'm not stupid. I just got a good looking woman's address. See, these car sales guys, some of us still have
relationships, right? It's all about building relationships.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Absolutely, and we have to recognize that the mentality, the mindset, as David Long says, step 0 is the mindset, the attitude. We have to have that positive attitude, and we have to understand that the customer is the one who's in control, and we have to allow them to be in control. We can't have that falsification that we believe that we're maintaining control based on our questions. We're there to help them guide themselves down the pathway of purchase. And Andrew will concur with this with me, is that the actual right way of selling a vehicle is similar to selling a BEV. Provide them with the information so that they can make an intelligent decision based on their thought processes. You cannot drive someone to buy an BEV based on traditional old school selling techniques, because they'll just get up and walk away. They have that fortitude. So you have to be in that frame of mind that you give them the information. That is going to change the way we do business moving forward. We're going to be there to help them at every stage, pick them up whenever they need to be picked up, but that we're going to guide them along in the pathway to purchase, and that's something that's going to be defining the different roles moving forward.
Cool. Hey, Andrew and Darren, thank you so much for joining in with us. Darren, make sure you reach out to me and let's have a conversation. Everybody else, we appreciate you. We love your input. Don't forget, Martha, send me, Darren, you too, if you want. I'll send you my book. You'll laugh your butt off. It's as whacked out as I am.
I'm sending Larry and Darren your guys' contact info right now.
Perfect.
Awesome.
Does anybody, and by the way, a big shout out to Jeff Scherer. He keeps bringing people into my periphery. It looks like, Jeff, I'm going to do business with your boy, Howard Goldman. We've become best buddies, and man, it's just such a pleasure doing business with him. And I look forward to doing business with Darren, all of you. Thank you so much. Does anybody have any thoughts or anything before we roll out? We really appreciate it. It was really a fun show tonight.
It was a great show. Thank you, everybody.
Good show. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful evening.
And we'll see you tomorrow night.
See y'all.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Bye-bye.